Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. Today, to celebrate passing 150 subscribers, thank you very much, I'd like to do the 25 Things About Me tag, which starts out with slightly more personal questions and then gets into more bookish questions. Trying something new with the microphone today, so let me know how the sound quality works and if I should switch to doing this in the future. Since there are so many questions, I'm going to try to be brief. The first question is, what is your channel about? Well, as I said in my introduction, I talk about books I've been reading and enjoying lately, which typically are adult and young adult, science fiction and fantasy, sometimes historical fiction, and romance and mystery thriller when I happen to pick one up. Question 2, how old are you? I am 33. I'm turning 34 in April. And let me say, so far, 30s have been the best decade. Question 3, what is your relationship status? I am married. I've been married for 11 years. 11 years? This year will be my 12th wedding anniversary, and we were high school sweethearts. Question 4, did you go to college, or what's your occupation? Yes, I did go to college. That whole occupational training is what absorbed my 20s. So I have an undergraduate degree in biomedical science, and then I went to veterinary school, became a doctor of veterinary medicine. Then I went on to do my residency in my specialty field, and at the same time I did a master's. I have a master's degree in microbiology, and after I completed my residency and my master's degree, I found my big girl job and studied for a few years for my specialty boards exams, passed that in 2020, and now I am officially boarded in my veterinary specialty. Question 5, where are you from? Where do you live? The answer is the same for both. Texas. I was an Air Force brat, so I grew up moving around a little bit, not too much, but my family is all from Texas, and when I was at the end of elementary school, we actually moved back to Texas where my dad retired, so we stayed for a while. Though even though I claim that I'm from Texas, I technically wasn't born in the state. Thank you, Air Force. Question 6, looking back, what would you tell your 10-year-old self? Questions like these are tricky. Probably something simple like, don't get so wrapped up in what you think your plans are going to be that you start closing doors. And it's really important to check out new opportunities that arise, because you never know what off chance thing you might try that will totally change your life. Question 7, tell us about your family. As I mentioned before, I am married. My husband does computer programming. We have a house full of pets, 3 dogs and 2 cats and a rat. My immediate family is very small. I have a twin sister, and both my parents and one of my grandparents are still living. Question 8, what is your favorite holiday? This one's a toss-up for me. I love Christmas because of the decorations and all of the lights, but I love the 4th of July, not for the fireworks, but because growing up, that was the weekend when we would get together with family, and I would get to see my cousins. We would all go to my aunt's lake house for a couple of days, and I loved it, and I miss those days. Question 9, what is your dream vacation if you have an unlimited budget? Part of me wants to say now, like, go into space, but a more realistic option is I would love to go to Iceland. Iceland is at the top of my list for places I would like to visit. So I would want to go to Iceland by way of England and Scotland and Norway, and then get myself into Iceland. Then I want to do a bike tour. I want to ride the ring road, but I am not so much with wanting to stay in a tent for 2 weeks straight, because it would probably take 2 weeks to cycle the ring road. So I would want to, part of my budget would go towards hotels and, being able to sleep comfortably at night. Question 10, name your biggest pet peeve. Probably being late. I get really anxious about this. I don't know what it is about me. It's annoying to me when other people are late when we're meeting, but it's not that big of a deal. The anxiety comes from me when I've set a time, even if it's this arbitrary thing. I've just said, oh, we're gonna leave at 3:15, and 3:15 comes and we haven't left yet. I don't know why. I'm trying to get better about that. Now we're getting more into kind of the book media side of this. Question 11, what book changed your life? Thought about this one for a minute and I picked, and this is going to seem very random, but I picked the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn because I read this one. I picked it out when I was either in late middle school or early high school. I can't remember which. I had been reading like the Young Jedi Knight series and typical children's chapter books, and I wanted to start branching out and reading something that was a little bit more adult and a little bit different. This is the novel that I picked off the shelf, which then I read basically the entire Star Wars extended universe post the Battle of Yavin. I didn't read tons and tons of the prequel novels. Not that it matters because it's not canon anymore anyway. But those were my first truly adult books, and from there, you know, I started reading whatever else. Question 12, what simple invention changed the world? We're gonna go with sticks. Like whenever the old Homo sapiens or our evolutionary precursors started using tools, whatever those first tools were, I'm gonna go with that. Question 13, favorite movies / TV show. So I tend to rewatch things that I really love kind of as comfort movies. So I'm just gonna list like my comfort movie list. The Martian, Galaxy Quest, Star Wars movies, Indiana Jones movies, The Mummy, Twister. And then for TV shows, I have really been enjoying The Expanse lately. I love Downton Abbey. I loved Battlestar Galactica when it was coming out. We've been rewatching Doctor Who, which I've really enjoyed, and The West Wing. I rewatch that all of the time. Question 14, describe yourself in 3 fictional characters. This one is so hard. I only came up with 2. Evelyn from The Mummy, because she's very book smart and kind of bumbles herself into trouble when she's like trying to do the hands-on. There is a character from one of Susanna Kiersle's novels named Sarah. She's the contemporary heroine from the novel The Desperate Fortune. She's a computer programmer, which is not like me at all. Her role in this book is she is breaking the cipher so that they can read this diary. By reading this diary, it unlocks the historical side of that story. And I love the whole novel, but whenever I read it, I cry because I identify with Sarah so much, and the character Sarah has Asperger's. She can find it very hard to relate to people, and she can get overwhelmed, and she can miss some societal clues. And for whatever reason, I do not have this diagnosis, although I've suspected. Just reading this character and so those aspects that are brought into the story just made me cry. And I don't know, I just felt like I identified with her very well, so take that as you will. The third one, some medical character. The veterinarian in the movie, what was that movie where the aliens come to LA and the army has to go in and evacuate the people, and they run into this veterinarian who's like trying to help people, but also she's like, I treat any species, and she's like looking at the aliens. That would totally be me. That would totally be me. Like, I can treat anything. I'm not licensed to treat people, but when the aliens come, when the zombies come, I can figure it out. Question 15, what was your dream job? I feel lucky enough to be working my dream job. I love what I do and the work that I do as a veterinarian. However, as a kid, I also really wanted to be an astronaut, and I've tried. I applied to the most recent astronaut class and was rejected, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying. I want to be a veterinarian in space, and let me do your research projects for you on the ISS. I got this. Also, I have a huge drive to become a published author one day, and that is all in progress. It will happen. I write adult science fiction and fantasy. Question 16, if magic was real, what would be the first spell you learn? I don't like this question because it's assuming that all magic would have to work based off spells, and I reject that premise. But if magic were real, that would be really awesome. I've always really liked the idea of healing magics, probably part of because of what I do, and so I'd probably figure out some sort of medicinal stuff with it. Number 17, share a favorite childhood memory. I was reflecting on this with some friends the other day, so I'll share it here. I think I had just graduated high school. My family took a vacation to Hawaii, where we used to live when I was growing up. My dad was at one point stationed at Hickam Air Force Base, and so we know Oahu very well. But for this particular trip, we were on Molokai. Molokai is very much a ranching island. There's not a lot of people on it, but there are small resorts on it. And we were at one of these resorts. At night, it's pitch black. There's not a lot of light pollution. You go outside, stumbling dark, and the expanse of stars, just so vibrant, almost overwhelming, that feeling of being so small, but also how vivid all the stars are. One of the employees at the resort had this really bright green laser pointer and was doing a little bit of a astronomy lesson for us, you know, linking it in with the Hawaiian and Polynesian cultures, mostly just how breathtaking the stars were because it was so dark everywhere else. Question 19. If you could pick a book character to spend the day with, who would it be? It would hate this, but Murderbot. Question 20. What is your spirit animal? I don't have a spirit animal. That's a cultural thing. So I would say, what animal do you identify with, I suppose? I love little ratties, little rats. They are the dogs of the rodent world. Question 21. What is an old person thing that you do? Well, I'm sure I'm considered old to some folks, but when I think of old people, I think of eating dinner at 5 p.m. And that's what I do. I'm starving by 5 p.m. Question 22. Do you have a hidden talent? I don't think so. I feel as though I'm a good writer, and a lot of people don't know that I do that, so it feels like a hidden talent when you tell them, yeah, I write science fiction and fantasy. I'm an author. I'm just not published yet. Question 23. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I would be happy, I think, if I was still working where I currently am, but with, you know, increased responsibilities because I want my career to grow. I also think that in 5 years I will, if I'm not published yet, I'll at least be picked up by an agent and have something sold to a publishing house. Whether or not it's actually out yet, because publishing is so slow, who knows in 5 years. But yes, I think that will be happening. Share an item and tell us its significance. I've been drinking out of my National Novel Writing mug throughout this video. National Novel Writing Month is this free, fun writing thing that happens in November, where the goal is that you write 50,000 words of a novel in the month of November. You don't have to edit it. They don't have to be good words. They just have to be words on paper. And I've been doing Nano every year for the last 10 or 11 years. And it's what truly helped me break through. Just there's no perfectionism in a first draft. You just need to get the words down on the paper. Then you can revise them and start making it better. And probably none of the words from your first draft will make it anywhere close to your final. And that's okay. So I love Nano. As I mentioned, my 20s were so absorbed with my studying and professional training that I found it very difficult to find time to write. So in November, I always made it a priority to carve out that time. So I love the program, and I love using my little mug. Question 25. Now tag some people. I will paste the questions in the description box. If you want to answer them for the comments, that'd be really fun. So thank you so much for sticking with this tag. I hope you thought it was fun. Got to know me a little bit more as my channel is slowly but surely growing. If you would like to know when I post more book-related videos, such as reviews and reading wrap-ups and lists, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to support your local library. Thanks.